Y'all, welcome to Built by Ty Talks, y'all. You wanna know how to get nice shit like this? Lock in. Lock the fuck in. And find your purpose. Because purpose is everything. Purpose is everything. As a man, you gotta have purpose. I believe as a woman, you gotta have purpose too, because you know what I mean? A lot of women that don't have purpose, they're always chasing for it. They're always trying to figure out the purpose, right? Whether that be whatever it is, you know what I mean? But right now, I'm speaking to young men. And you need to have purpose. You need to be focused. You need to be dedicated. You need to be locked in. Because look, these are the kind of cars you can't just go buy. You can go buy, but it's going to be another one's project. Maybe you go buy someone else's project. You have to go figure it out, and you have to pretty much rework it all. It's like buying another business. You got to relearn it and rework it all. It don't work that easy. This is something you had to build. This is a fully built. I've touched every nut and bolt on this car. I built that. Over time, long work, dedication. Same with the truck. 1,000 horsepower, 6.4 Cummins. Built that. Long work, dedication, over time, y'all. Just like you gotta build yourself up, you gotta invest in yourself. And I'm not just saying go buy $5,000 courses from TJR. I'm saying you gotta go read books or something like that. And courses is cool, but most of the time them influencers is getting money off of selling courses, y'all. Go read a book. Read a book that got real knowledge in it, y'all. You can learn a lot just from the Bible. The Bible teaches you a lot about discipline, God, faith. That's discipline, y'all. That's why God and faith is so important. And I've always said that being a person that like I believe in God and I believe in God, but I didn't have discipline. My actions didn't speak upon that. I didn't have faith. You know what I mean? You gotta have faith and you gotta be focused and locked in, y'all. And you gotta love yourself. Wake up in the morning and tell yourself you're beautiful. I see so many young men that are just, they're so depressed. They have no motivation and they're so depressed. And I'm not gonna say, everyone's gonna say, oh, weed this, weed that, but weed is a big part of that. Weed is a big part of that. It's become a social norm. Everyone feels like they gotta smoke weed to hang out with girls. They gotta smoke weed to be cool. And you know, it's just keep smoking and smoking and smoking and smoking. You know what I mean? It really don't solve nothing, and you're just trying to fit in. And people that try to fit in, you're a follower. I hate to tell you the truth, but if you don't got your own conscience, you're a follower. You know what I mean? And that's not the position you want to be in your life. You want to have your balls by grip. You want to know what you're doing and you want to control your destiny and you want to know your purpose. And finding your purpose can be, you know, sometimes you have to go through hard times to find your purpose. Sometimes you got to go hit your head. Sometimes you got to sit in the jail cell. Sometimes you got to really struggle. But finding your purpose is the most important thing in life as a young man. Because once you know your purpose, you have your destiny. Then you rewire your brain. You lock in. You're focused. You chase that purpose. You know, you can't go out right now. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to chase this. I got to make this money, y'all. Stay locked in. Stay focused. Believe in yourself. It's very important you believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Because the thing I have problems with school, I'm not a big fan of school. And not all school, but I'm not a big fan of high school. High school, I think, it's kind of pre-college. College, I think most people go to college, they don't really go for anything important. Very few people actually go to college for something important and learn. Most just go for the experience and don't even finish college. And that's just keeping it G, right? But high school also is kind of like that. A lot of go for the experience, they don't really learn anything. And I don't think it teaches you to follow and not lead. You know what I mean? It teaches you to become a employee and not be a owner. And being an employee is not a bad thing, because you can make a lot of money being a good employee. But a good employee is a leader, right? You have to know how to lead and believe in yourself and see bigger than what people think. Most people think, like, honestly, most people are sheep, right? And you want to be able to think bigger than that, outside of the box. And in order to think outside of the box, you got to have purpose, vision, and drive. And I believe in 10X, Grant Cardone. I will say I believe in 10X. I try to set my goals, and I've always done my life like that. Bigger than I've ever thought I could achieve. I don't want 100 units. I want 10,000 units. I want to, you know what I mean? I want this. I want that. You know what I mean? I don't want to just believe in it. I want to be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have all the faith. You know what I mean? Like, this car, I knew what this was going to look like before I even started putting it together, because I believed in it. I seen the vision, and it took me years, but I seen that vision ahead of time. Just like I see myself, right? I just started working out, you know, a month and a half ago, but I see my vision. I know where I'm going. I'm focused. I'm locked in. I'm not stopping. I'm committed. I got discipline. I'm believing my path. I already see myself. When I look in the mirror, I see myself now, but I see myself in the future too. And you need to be the same way, right? You need to wire your mind to focus and lock in and believe in what you're doing. Believe in everything you're achieving, y'all. A lot of people, you know what I mean? A lot of people, they have no purpose, they have no vision, they run around depressed, they don't believe in themselves. So because of that, you know what I mean, they may go through one bad incident. Let's say they had a bad day or a bad month or a bad year. those people will sit there and mourn. That 1 year will ruin the next 10, 20 years of their life. They'll be depressed off of that one bad year, or that one bad breakup, right? Or that one time they lost this, and they'll let that affect the next 20 years of their life. Why? Why let the past or the present now destroy your future? Don't be that person, y'all. Don't be that person. Life is short. Life's a beautiful thing and it's short, right? And you need to embrace it. You know what I mean? If you have a bad time, don't be depressed the rest of your life from that. Overcome it. You know what I mean? And then it's hard. People will say depression and this, depression and this. But as a man, as a real life, as a man, G, ain't no depression. Ain't no depression. Ain't no depression, ain't no emotions, ain't none of that. None of that matters. You know, I don't care what anyone says, you know, and we come from a dopamine chasing world. Everything around our world right now, as a modern teen, you know, whatever, I'm 27, as a modern kid, whatever, like our generation, we got cell phones, Instagram, porn, you know, all these things that are just short dopamine, fake dopamine, right? And it wires your brain, you know what I mean? So I can understand why people say they're depressed and this and that. I mean, you look on your phone, you got kids that are driving Lamborghinis at 14, right? Who gives a crap? Focus on you, right? Half that shit's fake, yo. Those kids influencers, man, they, you know what I mean? My shit's a hard work. You know what I mean? Them influencers, bro, they, 4 or 5 people, they'll buy a Lamborghini together and all pay $500 a month to afford the $2,000 payment, and then pass it around and make content for a week with it and fill your head with it, and you're sucking it up, depressing yourself, and not even focus on your purpose, bro. Don't be that person, y'all. Don't be that person. If you listening to this is $1 million game, because, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm 27, but I done made over $30 million in business, and that's trades business. That's hard work, hands business, right? That's real business. I'm talking about a city depends on my business, right? Like real business, y'all. Not just pushing influencer content, not off of likes, you know what I mean? I'm just talking like this because I like helping people, and I believe it's a good thing, and I got a bigger purpose and a bigger vision in my head for growing my social network, right? Because I want to help more people, more youth, you know what I mean? I want to start a life prep academy because I don't think schools really do good. You know what I mean? That could be the death of me, I ain't gonna lie. You know, because schooling industry is a business itself, but we're not gonna go on that right now. We're gonna save that for another topic, y'all. But right now, you need to find your purpose. Wake the fuck up and find your purpose. I'm just gonna keep it G with you, y'all. That's how you get nice shit like this. This thing, fun as fuck. 2JZ swap, rear mount radiator, wide body, full cage, 2 grand, 2 front, you name it. This thing fully built, bottom in, head 6.4 Cummins, single turbo, wastegate dump, the whole 9 yards, y'all. And it looks dirty right now, but man, I'll use my shit. I'll work my shit. You know what I mean? I put way more money in that thing than I should. And someone say that's a bad investment. Okay, cool. I got houses too. I got all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? These is my toys. This is my learning curve. When I was younger, I got this stuff. This is my vision. Now I'm on to other shit, right? That's my life. You know what I mean? That was my pace, and these were my financial learning curve. But it's worth it every moment to me. I love every moment of them cars. You know what I mean? I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade anything about my life. You got to have gratitude. Every up and down I've been through, I'm grateful for. I am grateful for that because that is the path that was my journey that made me the man that I am today. Just like if you're going through a hard time, you need to be grateful for that and rise and overcome and achieve it, y'all. Become bigger than that. That's part of your process. That's God's progress. That's God's layout for you. That's the timing that you got, and that's the path you got, and them the steps you walk. I don't care if you come from nothing. If you come from nothing, in my eyes, it's a superpower. I know a lot of kids that come from money and they just fuck themselves up, bro. They come from everything. They already have everything. They got no drive. They got no game. You come from nothing, you got a different type of hustle to you. You got street smarts. You got all these things, bro. You could really, really rise and achieve. But realistically, every man goes through the same things. Every man goes through the same things. Every man goes through the same cycles, whether you come from money or you come from nothing, and you gotta figure it out. If you come from money, chances are you come from a lonely family and you're gonna struggle with loneliness at the early age, y'all. Every man goes through the same cycles, y'all. It's a repeat, right? But you need to conquer it, because if you don't conquer your life and grab it by the balls, you're gonna stay in the same position the rest of your life, y'all. You're not gonna grow. You're not gonna grow if you don't lock in and focus. And I believe your 20s is the best to do that. I don't care what people say about live it up and party in your 20s. You can live it up and be locked in. Focus, right? Because when you have a family, it's going to be even harder. It's going to be even harder. And if you got a family in your 20s, it's still easier because you got more testosterone. You got more drive, bro. But the older you get, the harder it gets to get that function moving. And yes, you get smarter and prepare yourself more, but you can get smart at a young age, y'all. You can be real wise at a young age. If you focus and master your mind, read books, conquer loneliness, conquer the fear of missing out, because that one eats a lot of people, especially a lot of youth, bro. I see it's crazy how people fear of missing out, bro. They just, as soon as they hear about something going on, they really ain't gonna be shit, right? They gonna go spend money they didn't even make, they didn't even have, right? For chase some girls that ain't even really worth it. You know what I mean? They mess up life. I done seen people do the craziest things on the fear of missing out, y'all. Don't be that person. You're stronger than that. You're better than that. You're bigger than that, yo. Rise. Rise above all. Focus. Lock in. Believe in yourself. Conquer your life. Figure out your purpose. Because purpose is everything, y'all. Don't chase women, chase purpose. Right? Purpose and women will follow. I promise you, y'all. But, you know what I mean? Women rule the world. I'll be a man of that. You know what I mean? They say you can't live with them, can't live without them. But realistically, a man without purpose, you're gonna get controlled by the women. A man with purpose won't be controlled by women. He won't be, because his purpose matters the most. And it's one thing to have a family and support your family and have a wife and things like that. But a man that has purpose and knew he had purpose before he went in that relationship, his wife already knows that, and she won't challenge that because she knows that's his purpose, and she supports that because she's the right one for him. Y'all remember that, yo. A lot of men I see settle down, you know what I mean? They got drive crazy, but they can't conquer being alone. They can't conquer their loneliness. They can't conquer their emotions. They can't conquer their brain, their purpose, you know what I mean? And you settle for less than you deserve, bro. Don't settle for less than you deserve. You deserve the world. You're God's gift, bro. You know how many sperm cells get flushed down the toilet a day that could have been you? Think about that. You're a blessing just to be able to breathe, yo. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of your life. I mean, rise above all, yo. If you're in high school, figure out a hustle, man. If you're in high school, you should really be in leveraging that networking. There's so many people around you. You could be leveraging that network to make a lot of money, yo. A lot of money. You could build up a large following. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're not out of high school, it's a lot of things you can still do to build up a following, but it's really better just to focus on yourself, your purpose, and figure out what you want to do in life and conquer it, y'all. Because people will eat you alive. People will take your time away. People will rob you from everything you got. People will steal your drive, your energy, your everything, bro. You got to be spiritually grounded, emotionally grounded, financially grounded, right? I posted something earlier today, and someone commented on it. I was talking about a man with purpose doesn't chase women chase him. And someone commented about how women chase with makeup and this and that and stand up by the waiting line, blah, 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 blah. I said, brother, look, man, a man with purpose that's spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially grounded won't even be looking at those women, right? So for you to say that just shows me you're broken, man. Find your spirit, find your emotions, ground yourself, bro. Rise above all, y'all. Stay focused. Built by Ty Talk, man. Stay focused, stay locked in.